Welcome to Mindly Way, where we explore life philosophies to grow and find the right path. Get ready to listen for an inner journey. One of the most fabled samurai, Miyamoto Musashi, is regarded as the best swordsman in Japan, having won more than 60 battles without losing. Musashi became into a ronin when he managed to avoid death during the Battle of Sekigahara. He was not just a skilled swordsman, but also a learned Buddhist, artist, and philosopher. Musashi gave us 21 Dokkōdō, or ideals, before he passed away. These ageless guidelines might motivate us to live effectively even in the present. Most, if not all, of these guidelines assist us in establishing focus. The ability to concentrate one's interest or activities on something is known as focus. Needless to say, Musashi's existence revolved around focus, or what he referred to as the way, a life of constant practice. His works demonstrate that discipline, self-control, sacrifice, and a rejection of pleasure characterized his way of life. All of these qualities were founded upon or reinforced by the capacity for focus. Musashi was primarily focused on honing his craft and seeking enlightenment via the way of the sword, especially during his periods of seclusion from society. These three installments expound upon the 21 tenets found in Musashi's Dokkōdō. The first 7 principles were covered in the first section. The next 7 principles will form the basis of this second section, which will examine how to live a life of absolute focus. Please be aware that the explanations in this movie are meant to serve as inspiration for modern living, and they are based on accepted philosophies, the author's views, and logic. 8. Never let a breakup to get you down. 8. Never let a breakup to get you down. There are various ways that separation might occur. Someone may leave our lives briefly due to travel or relocation, or they may pass away and leave us permanently. We may also lose touch with some things, such as cash or sentimental belongings. The majority of us experience anguish when we are separated from our loves. We feel a great sense of loss when something or someone we are attached to is taken away from us because we think it is a part of us and belongs to us. Buddhism views this notion of possession as illusionary. There is a widespread belief among Buddhists that anything that exists outside of our minds is not really ours, not even our bodies, since we have limited influence over them. Being a Buddhist and ronin, Musashi was undoubtedly aware of the hardship associated with attachment to both people and things, as well as the illusion of possession. Since his method involved isolation and practice, he was unable to grieve over the passing of any one thing because everything in life is subject to change, including people, possessions, and money. This is especially true for ronins who are constantly on the move. An ongoing sorrow would have resulted from attachment to the people he met and the locations he visited. Rather, as a ronin, he was forced to accept the transient nature of everything, including death, as life's ultimate end. The steadfast acceptance of death is the path of the warrior, according to Musashi's writings in the Book of 5 Rings. Death is the constant companion of a warrior. The deaths of those he kills, those who fight alongside him, those he fails to defend, and of course the possibility of getting killed himself. Musashi must have understood better than anyone that everyone will eventually die. We'll deal with life's transience more easily if we recognize and embrace its impermanence. 9. It is inappropriate to harbor resentment or complaints toward others or toward oneself. 9. It is inappropriate to harbor resentment or complaints toward others or toward oneself. People frequently spend absurd amounts of time griping and fussing about the state of the world. It's quite simple to get into the resentment and complaint traps. An individual possessing a critical perspective and strong beliefs about the ideals of life might find constant grievances to bemoan. However, it indicates that we are concentrating on others rather than ourselves when we are always feeling resentful of the environment. It is harmful to spend time feeling resentful and grumbling about the world or one's own life if one is committed to a life of continuous practice. We have no control over the planet. People will occasionally behave in ways that are inconsistent with our ethics and morals. Individuals will act naively, impolitely, and unappreciatively. People will despise us, attempt to meddle in our affairs, treat us unfairly, and attempt to exploit us. Besides, life isn't fair. No one gets an equal portion of the pie. We are not equally talented, attractive, or healthy. Although changing this is a sincere aim that the human intellect has developed, it is nearly hard to accomplish because nature is constantly pushing against us. Buddhists believe that we shouldn't waste too much time trying to alter the world, and that we should especially avoid harboring grudges against it. It is more smarter to put our attention on ourselves, live our lives to the fullest, and accept those who don't. Or, in the words of the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, be strict with yourself and tolerant with others. 10. Refrain from following your desires or feelings of love. 10. Refrain from following your desires or feelings of love. I looked at the various kinds of love in a previous video, dividing it into two extremes: selfish love known as eros and selfless love known as agape according to the ancient Greeks. In this instance, Musashi seems to be pointing to eros, or romantic love, as Buddhists refer to lusty, desire-driven love. Romantic love is elevated to the level of the highest concern in many of today's civilizations. It is nearly believed that the human experience is divine, making it deserving of our pursuit and sacrifice. It's obvious that Musashi would not have approved of the way we currently view romantic love. This was most likely due to the fact that he was a Buddhist, in addition to the fact that romance and love are so distracting and would have hindered his development as a swordsman. Furthermore, Buddhists reject the sacralization of passionate love. Indeed, they know the risks associated with following its lead. Love and lust can overtake us, just like any other emotion. However, we are free to choose to interact with these emotions or not. To stay grounded and focused on our path, it would be wiser to retain our ability to reason rather than allowing romanticism to lead us blindly. Enchanted by lust and love, people often make incredibly foolish judgments that range from choices that damage their work or violate personal boundaries to acts of violence and even murder. 11. Show no preference in anything. 11. Show no preference in anything. When it comes to the condition of the outer world, preferences cause us to become dependent. We feel content when we find something we like. However, we get what we don't like, and we feel let down. Given that we have little control over the stimuli in our surroundings, having preferences will allow external events to dictate how we feel. Whether the conditions are ideal or not will determine our composure. This is a somewhat subpar approach to living. Musashi came across a wide variety of individuals, things, and circumstances, yet he had to maintain his composure to stay on course. Strong inclinations would have been detrimental to his work. Therefore, it's a good idea to control our inclinations and accept whatever fate deals us and make the most of it. We can never go wrong in this fashion, and as a result, the outcome has no bearing on the caliber of our attention. 12. Don't care where you live. 12. Don't care where you live. As a Ronin, Musashi traveled throughout Japan and resided in a variety of locations, including caverns and castles, but his way always remained the focal point of his existence, no matter where he resided. These days, a person's living environment is highly valued. They have strong feelings about their residences, the communities in which they reside, and the kind of furniture they own. However, when our living situations are too important to us, we become nervous when they are under danger. Of course, leaving our home is not a luxury when conditions are really dangerous, but most of the time, people search for a new place to live because they are just unhappy with their existing situation. Some people feel that moving will solve their immediate boredom and discontent with their existing residence. Unfortunately, the feeling of satisfaction that comes with relocating is fleeting. We always bring ourselves with us wherever we go. Contentment and discontent originate internally, not externally. In the end, if we're happy with who we are, it doesn't matter where we live, no matter how basic and tiny. When we are happy in our homes, we have one less thing to worry about and are more likely to remain committed to our goals. 13. Don't chase delicious food flavors. 13. Don't chase delicious food flavors. A satisfying meal is how many, if not most, people delight in tongue-pleasing pleasure. Some people like to win and dine for extended periods of time, indulging in numerous drinks and courses. Foodies, however, take note. There are drawbacks to this tendency. The pursuit of delicious food is discouraged by Miyamoto Musashi. Although his precise motivations are unknown, we can gain a sense of them by reading what other philosophers have to say about it. For instance, food was a worry for the ancient Stoics. They pushed for a simple diet. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, noticed that individuals lose appreciation for simple foods when they grow accustomed to eating elaborate, pricey meals. We will simply yearn for more ostentatious and exciting ways to sate our cravings when they are overstimulated. Overindulgence in food can easily develop into gluttony, which can cause health issues. It is often accepted that a glutton values and likes food. However, this may not always be the case. Eaters and drinkers who are voracious typically don't take the time to consume slowly and with appreciation for the food that is being served to them. Rather, they overindulge in excess as a means of momentarily relieving themselves of the agony associated with food cravings. Instead, we should practice eating mindfully, in moderation, and with self-control over our appetites. We won't be as dependent on flavor, and our appetites will be sated, which will reduce the likelihood that we would overeat. Nutrition is ultimately the goal of eating, as we require fuel to survive and grow. 14. Don't hang on to things that you don't need. 14. Don't hang on to things that you don't need. It appears that Musashi was aware of the advantages of living simply at an early age. Having possessions did not fit with his existence as a ronin. Traveling throughout Japan, lodging in various locations, engaging in combat, honing his craft, and having goods would have just added to his burden. He merely required the essentials to survive and practice, including his 2 swords. Some people have a tendency to hoard things because they believe that having more material belongings will make them happier. For the most part, this just piques people's curiosity and may hold true for a short while. The more we own, the more burden we eventually bear, and eventually we stop being the masters of our stuff rather than the other way around. Anxiety is brought on by clinging to our possessions and striving for more. It is the dread of losing what we already have and the fear of not achieving our goals. But there's no point in seeking all these material stuff when we may reach higher levels of satisfaction and have a higher purpose. In Buddhism, pursuing material belongings is pointless when one is satisfied in silence and does not require entertainment such as music or television. In the end, all that matters is being able to move light, much like a ronin, so that we may concentrate on the important things